Okay, so this demo is going to show you how to use Cheetah to create a bone structure from model. So first thing we're going to do here is we're going to open up Cheetah and get a new file going. And what you should have done previously is already created your model. So we're going to go and find that. And here's my object. Let's see how it looks. Okay, that's right. Let's double check. Zoom in here a little bit. Yep, there it is. And then I'm just going to click on it, and I'm just going to use this tool to move it up. Remember, you have a couple options here to move around the screen. You can zoom in and out just by scrolling in and out with your on your mouse. You can also hold on Alt Option to pan around, and you can also move your view with some of these tools up top here. So you can zoom that way. You can rotate that way as well. And there's other options for you too. Another thing is you have your camera modes here. So if you want to do like a front view, if you want to do a side, like a right view, you have those options as well. So right now I'm just going to mess with camera. I prefer that. So if you guys have another one that you like, you're more than welcome to use it. So at this point, this thing is one full structure. It's ready to roll. What we're going to do now is we're going to start making what's called a bone structure for it, and to allow it to animate. So what we're going to do is we're going to go up to Tools and Character, and we're going to go to Joint Tool. And with our Joint Tool, what we're going to do is we're going to start kind of connecting bones down. So we want to start at the hip, and then move down to the leg, to the thigh, thigh to the knee, knee to the ankle, ankle to the foot to the toes. So I'm going to start just a little bit up here. And before I even start making points, I want to go over here and I'm going to change my display mode to a diamond, and then I want to select a color, something that I probably wouldn't use. So I'm not going to use like a bright red for anything. So I'm going to go click. You're going to see this thing start making these like diamond points. And you can always edit them later on if you need to, just by clicking them. So I'm going to go all the way down the leg there. So you saw I have one there, one down to the knee, knee down to the ankle, and then I'm going to turn just to see it is inside, which is good. And then I'm going to go and I'm going to click the toe. Alright, now I can always go back here as well. See, I went to this, my move tool here. I can then click on these points and I can actually move them down and adjust them as needed. Now, if I went and started making more points, so if say I went to Tool, Character, Joint Tool, and I wanted to do the other leg, you're going to see what happens is this connects. And we don't want that to happen. Now, the way to get around that is literally clicking back on your master legs and then going up to your tools again, Character and Joint Tool, and then doing the other leg. So you want to click on that set of legs and then start going again. And that will separate it. Another way to do that is by holding Shift, but I think that this is probably a little bit of an easier way because you know what you're kind of getting yourself into. So I'm going to just scroll to the side, and I'll make that toe. Did it make it? Oops, clicked off there. So I'm going to click on the last point I made, and then click on to make that toe. You can see it got off track here a little bit, so I want to get back onto that and move it where it needs to go. You can see it got off track a little bit here, and that's fine. You can always move stuff around as you need to with this tool. So, all right. Where are we at here? Sometimes it's good to check out some other views. That way you can kind of see, what way it might be easiest to pull this thing to get it to look right. And I'm pretty happy with that, I think. Needs to go up a little bit. There we go. Alright, and there's our toes inside there. Okay. Now, you're going to see down here what you have is two sets of joints. Now, if they're not two sets like this, you can always say like one was inside the other. You could pull it out and you can just reorder it so you have those two sets. But what we need to do is actually go in here and rename things. So this is going to be, well, this is actually the character's right leg. So we're going to go leg R, and then from there we're basically going to start going down. So that's the first point. This is going to be hip, and then knee, and you could use like knee R if you wanted to, and then this is going to be ankle R, and then foot R. Okay, we can close that up, and then we're going to do the same thing for the other one. So this one's going to be leg L, hip L, knee L, ankle L, and then foot L. Okay, so those are basically ready to go. Now we're going to make one other thing here. We're basically going to make the back structure, and this is going to allow us so that we can like modify the whole thing kind of by itself. And if you were making the whole character, you could add this on even more. So we're going to go back up. We make sure we're clicked on our legs as a whole. Go to Tools, Character, and Joint Tool. And we're just going to basically make one straight up in the middle here. Oops. And just straight up. Okay. And this is going to be, we're going to call this one pelvis. And like the master root for that one. And then we're also going to call the actual thing that we made back. And then I'm going to maybe move this so it's straight here. Okay, so I'm going to take a spin around here, make sure that's all looking good. Looks good to me. Now we're actually going to put leg R and leg L inside with the pelvis here. Okay. Now you're going to see right away what happens. I'm going to zoom up here. You see how it connected your hips to that middle back. We can take that off, and what we're going to do is we're going to go and we're going to click on leg R. Going to go up here to properties and hit root. And that's going to take it away. Same thing for leg R. Click that, change it from normal to root. That way you just kind of have your bone structure there for the back, and then everything else is separated. And so now everything's pretty much ready to go. And the next step then is going to be us posing our structure. Now a couple of things we want to do before that is we're going to go over here and we're going to put a skeleton tag on here. So I'm going to go skeleton. And then last but not least, we're going to actually take this whole pelvis thing and we're going to drag it up and drop it in there. So we're going to take our pelvis, drop it up into that icon. Basically all I'm doing here is I would click on that little character right there, and that brings up all of these. Now you can click on these. It's not going to do anything yet. So I'm going to click just up on the first one. I'm going to go down, and you see binding method heat, and that's good. We want to leave that at heat, and then we're going to hit OK. All right, and what that should have done is now if we click on our knee point, you can see that we now have control using that bone structure of our actual material, or I'm sorry, our actual sculpture. So here's the hip on that on the character's left leg, and it moves back. Okay, same thing. We can do this for anything really. Right? We could take that middle point. We could mess with them, and then say I'm going to go to the other hip. You can see I can bend pretty much anything, and I can actually turn stuff out too. So if I wanted it to like go a different direction, you can do that. Okay, I'm going to undo those, just get it back to normal. Another thing kind of just to point out here is when we click on that skeleton, if you click on one of these things now, you should see the heat controls for it. So basically, I'm clicking on leg R right here, which is that top point, and it's showing you what that controls. So if I were to move this point right here, it would control that portion of the box. Just if we go to like knee, you can see what the knee controls. Okay, so we click off there, and you know that the knee is going to control that down. All right, so from there we just want to save, and we're going to keep going with the next demo.